Magandang hapon po sa inyong lahat. Naatasan po ako ngayong hapon para magbigay po sa inyo all about environmental management, pang-apat module po ng good agricultural practices. Sabi dito, environmental hazard are negative impact that occur to the environment. Lalong-lalo na po sa production, harvesting, post-harvest handling sa fruit and vegetable. Ang GAP, meron pong requirements that concern environmental safety. In site history and management, under code of practice, site used for production should comply with country regulation and restricted production at high altitude or steep slopes. The sites to consider potential impact on the environment such as soil erosion and runoff or leaching of nutrient and chemical into adjacent supplies. Dito po, ang farm po natin should be properly evaluated to adjacent na kung minsan maganda ang ating farm, but sa adjacent site, dapat po yung adjacent site natin needs to be considered as an impact on production and post-harvest practices. Kung minsan, napili natin ang ating farm, napakaganda, pero yung adjacent nakatarbe natin na farm, nagkoko-cost po pala ng contamination. For the new site, i-consider po natin ang prior use of the site. Pag sinabing prior use of the site, dapat iisipin natin na ang area is intended for agricultural production of fruit and vegetable. I-consider natin ang previous use ng ating site. Ano ba? Dati po ba itong minahan? Dati po ba itong dumping site? Dati po ba itong sementeryo? Na in which bawal po sa ating agricultural production ng ating fruit and vegetable. Potential impact of crop production and post-harvest handling on and off the site, and potential impact of adjacent site in the new site. Ibig sabihin, dapat kung maganda ang nabili nating farm, kung ang katabi natin magiging cause of contamination dahil wala po siyang proper na ginawa sa kanyang farm, nag-spray, but the chemicals pumunta sa farm mo, dapat i-consider natin na meron pong impact po yun sa ating farm. The cost of implementation needs to be considered as a part of the cost of establishing the farming in or packing area operation. Under the site history, pag tayo ay merong farm, dapat i-consider natin ang proper contouring ng ating area. Intended for agricultural land, agricultural produce, for fruit and vegetable. Kung bibili po tayo ng area na it is not properly contoured, mas lalo pong magastos. Dapat i-consider na natin ang layout of the map, showing the location of the crop production. Nasaan po ba siya? Environmentally sensitive areas and highly degraded areas, ang crop production site. I-consider natin sa crop production site na dapat wala pong naggagala-galang stray animals. Yung chemical storage and mixing areas natin, the chemical application, kung paano natin ito ginagawa, the chemical equipment, kung saan natin tinatapon ang ating chemical after using, and others equipment should be sanitized. Areas of facilities for storage, mixing, and composting of fertilizer and soil additives, dapat natin i-consider po ito sa good agricultural practices as a part of the layoff map. Yung water courses, storage site, and significant drainage lines and runoff areas and discharge points, and property building structure and road. Ang water courses natin, storage site, dapat po alam natin kung saan pupunta ang ating ang used na tubig. Alam natin kung anong klaseng tubig ang ginagamit natin during watering period on our farm. This is the example of highly degraded areas are managed to minimize further degradation. Dapat i-consider natin ang proper contouring of the area. Should be properly supervised through sustainable land management practices, contour farmer, and terracing. This is the example of highly degraded areas managed to minimize further degradation. Mas lalo pong magastos ang ganitong sitwasyon o klase ng lupa ng ating tataniman. So, i-consider natin ang contour the area. Contouring, proper contouring of the area. Management on-site activities conform the country environmental legislation, covering the air, water, noise, soil, biodiversity and other environmental issues. With conform the DENR regulation. Sa planting materials, to minimize chemical usage and nutrient runoff, planting materials is selected for disease resistant and compatibility with the proper tests such as soil type and nutrient. In selecting the planting materials, dapat po may impact on the environment. Dapat po compatible po siya sa ating climate and soil condition to reduce pests and diseases. Planting material na dapat alam natin ang source. Dapat galing po siya sa accredited nurseries, accredited distributor, the variety. Dapat i-consider natin ang ating planting materials na dapat true to type. Soil and substrate. The intended production practices are suitable to the soil type and do not increase the risk of environmental degradation. Good soil structure is vital for maximizing water intake and plant growth and minimizing soil erosion. Kaya nga, ang ating farm dapat properly contour para ma-minimize natin ang water intake ng ating pananim. Ma-minimize natin ang soil erosion. Soil maps are used to plan rotation production program. In good agricultural practices, meron tayong tinatawag na crop rotation. Can be planned to maximize soil cover, increase the organic matter level, and minimize nutrient depletion. Kaya nga, kung minsan meron tayong planting calendar, para masunod po natin ito, hindi lang po, like for example, hindi lang po pwede na palagi na lang eggplant, palagi na lang tomato itananim natin, dapat mag-practice tayo ng crop rotation. The leguminous crops, one of the advisable na itanim after planting with other crops para masustain natin, ma-minimize natin ang nutrient depletion. Cultivation practices that improve or maintain soil structure and minimize soil compaction and erosion are used. Dapat po, working in soil that is too wet, siyempre, mahirap. The soil is very much sticky. Kung minsan naman, very dry naman po ang soil natin, ano pong mayayari? Mahirap po matigas na araruhin. So, in the soil, if it is too wet, it will work like plasticine. When it is too dry, it will be hard to work and tend to shatter to dust. Iyan po ang mga dapat i-consider natin sa cultivation practices. So, the use of chemical fumigant to sterilize soil and substrate is justified. A record in keep of the location, the date, the product being used, application rate, and method of operator name. Importante po ito. Fertilizer and soil additives. Nutrient application based on recommendation from a competent authority or on soil, leaf or sap, testing to minimize nutrient runoff and leaching. Kaya po baga, for nutrient application, we are used to make a request for soil analysis. Dapat po, tamang-tama lang po ang ating gagamitin na nutrient sa ating lupa. Kaya po kami nagkakaroon po ng soil analysis recommendation for every applicant on GAP certification. Areas or facilities for storage, mixing, and loading of fertilizer and soil additives, and for composting of organic matter are located, constructed, and maintained to minimize the risk of environmental harm on and off the site. So, ibig sabihin, yung mga storage facilities natin should be properly supervised, lalo na po yung mga fertilizer and soil additive. Kasi kung minsan hindi natin alam during mixing period of, like for example, the urea, the complete fertilizer, kung minsan malapit po ito sa ating harvested fruit and vegetable in which nagkakaroon ng fruit contamination. Yung storage natin, protected from direct sunlight and rain, well ventilated with fresh air to keep fertilizer dry. Ibig sabihin, sa ating fertilizer and soil additive, ang ating storage dapat huwag pong masyadong direct sa sunlight. Well ventilated, and then may designated to minimize pest infestation, mold growth, and damage. Dapat po designed to keep any spillage to one place to be easy to clean up. Ibig sabihin, kung meron man pong spillage, madali po itong alisin, linisin, that hindi po magkakos ng contamination. Sa water naman po, isa po ito sa pangangailangan sa ating farm. The irrigation use is based on crop water requirements, water availability, soil moisture level, and consideration of environmental impact on and off the site. Ang irrigation natin, maraming pamaraan. Dapat, we can use the sprinkler, we can use the drip irrigation, as long as po malinis po ito. An efficient irrigation system is used to minimize wastage of water and the rest of environmental harm on and off the site. Kung titingnan mo po ninyo itong picture, they are using the drip irrigation. Kung minsan, pig-set up na nila ito, masarili na lang po silang ma-shut down or automatic drip irrigation. You can use the sprinkler type na drip irrigation. Kung titingnan po ninyo ang picture, ang good agricultural practices, it should be proper aligned. Maganda pong tingnan and malinis ang surroundings. So water from toilet and drainage system, malaki po ang contribution nito sa ating sa farm. Ang ganitong picture na may ekes, bawal po itong gamitin na irrigation water o idilig sa ating pananim. Lalong-lalo na po ang galing sa mga toilet na drainage system na galing sa mga manufacturer na mayroong spillage o tinapatapon lang nila basta sa tubig na tapos gagawin natin ng source of water, bawal po yan. Water discharge from the property, including wastewater from harvesting, cleaning, and handling operation is managed or treated to minimize off-site environmental harm. So, during spraying, huwag lang pong basta-basta itapon ang ating tirang chemicals na galing sa sprayer sa tubig. Kung minsan doon pa tayo naguhugas na ng kamay, and which may effect din yan sa ating environment. For chemicals, employer and worker must train to a level appropriate to their area of responsibility for chemical application. Kung titingnan mo ito, isang may ekes, yung chemical basta na lang na inilalagay sa sprayer without using the PPE, bawal po iyan. And then po, yung ating segregation ng ating chemicals empty bottles, dapat nasa proper po siyang kalalagyan. Meron din po siyang chemical segregation. Titingnan naman niyo ang picture, meron po siyang tamang lalagyan ng ating mga empty bottle. Yung ating mga empty bottles for chemicals, mahigpit po siyang pinagbabawal na gamitin na lalagyan ng tubig for drinking water. Really, wala na po siyang value. Inappropriate volume of chemicals, yung mga surplus chemical mixes, dapat po tama lang ang ating ginagamit na dapat i-spray. So, yung mga chemical sprayer should be maintained in good working condition. At the same time, yung after using, triple rinse ng ating mga equipment, container, use pesticide ay dapat linisin kaagad para magkaroon ng cross-contamination, mahigpit pong pinagbabawal. Dapat po yung ating worker na nag-spray, dapat po PPE is very much advised. Kung titingnan natin ang storage ng ating chemicals, yan po ang tamang lalagyan ng ating chemicals. Hindi po siya pinagbabawal na po sa good agricultural practices ang nagkalat-kalat ng mga chemical bottles mga chemicals kung saan-saan lang inilalagay. Dapat meron po siyang chemical cabinet intended for that purpose. Itong picture na pa ito, nagpapakita po ito ng proper na lalagyan ng ating mga fertilizer and chemicals. Dapat po ang solid ay nasa taas, next po ang liquid. Dapat po meron po silang placard for them. Madali pong ma-identify. Harvesting and handling produce. Chemical use after harvest to treat the produce include pesticide such as fungicides, insecticides, and fumigants, and surface coatings such as waxes. Always read the instruction to be used. Kung tayo po ay magtitreat ng ating harvested fruit and vegetable, it should be properly supervised and always read the instruction, and then titingnan po natin ang ating chemical level kung registered po siya under FPA. Waste and energy efficiency. The method used to manage waste include avoid or minimize waste. Segregation of waste is very much advised in agricultural practices. Reuse or recycle the waste. Like for example, the bottle, not the chemical use, but the reuse or recycle waste. Pwede po natin itong gawin na taniman, lalong-lalo na po ngayon, uso ang plantitas, so we can reuse or recycle our waste. So, dispose it properly. Dispose na the waste properly. Dapat po 50 meters away from the production site. Dapat po yung mga waste natin, may tama po tayong pinaglalagyan. Biodiversity. The different plants and animals in the ecosystem of which they are a part. Meron po tayong native biodiversity, referred to the biodiversity found in particular locality. Like for example, the bees, the butterfly, the dragonfly, the worms. That is native biodiversity. Native biodiversity provide benefits that are essential to sustaining and fulfilling human life and maintaining productive agriculture. Dapat po ang farm mo, dapat may sustaining na tinatawag po siyang fulfilling human life. Lalong-lalo na po ngayon may COVID, kailangan natin ang fresh air. Benefits from native biodiversity. Sabi ko na dito, example of this, the fungi, the worms, and bacteria transforming sunlight, carbon, and nitrogen into fertile soil. May mga pollination from insect tayo. Ito po ay benefits from the biodiversity. Regulation of climate, providing shade and shelter and waste absorption and breakdown. Ito po ang mga benefits natin from native biodiversity. We have the air pollution issues, particularly odors, dust, smoke, noise are usually of the most significant to neighboring properties. Bakit po? Kung meron kayong farm, kung minsan maganda naman ang farm mo, napakaganda, pero katabi naman ay ang quarantine house ng ating may mga COVID, how can you breathe properly if affected ang air ng ating environment. It is not always possible to keep a large distance between the area where manure is spread and the neighboring. Kung minsan, nandito ka sa farm, sa katabi naman may nag-i-spread ng manure, yung neighbor mo, ano po ang magiging effect ng air? Isa po ito sa mga i-consider natin sa biodiversity is the air. Dapat napakaganda, fresh air ang ating i-breath sa ating farm. Air, manure should not be spread when the wind direction is going to carry the smell to a neighbor. Sabi ko na kanina, extra manure will not provide additional benefits to the crop and will only make the smell worse. So, kaya nga, ina-advise namin na magkaroon tayo ng soil analysis. Ang gagamitin natin manure, properly decomposed. Ang gagamitin natin na synthetic fertilizer, dapat po tama lang. Kapag sobra, hindi na po ito na ma-absorb ng ating plants. Good practice is to dig the manure into the soil as quickly as possible. It is possible na ang ating swine manure, chicken dung, should be dig into the soil. Mas madali po, walang foul odor, madaling ma-decompose, easily be absorbed by the soil, easily absorbed by the plants. So, number 11, all your workers, your labor, paminsan-minsan, i-update po natin sila sa mga training. Matuto sila, at least alam nila ang kanilang ginagawa for their welfare, and then any kind of training, most especially on good agricultural practices. All document pertaining to the farm and record, dapat naka-intact po yun with a minimum of 2 years. And then paminsan, i-review po natin ang ating practices, good agricultural practices, para po ma-avoid natin ang contamination, para meron po tayong traceability sa ating farm. Yan lang po ang masasabi ko ngayong hapon. Thank you very much, and good agricultural practices, sana natutuhan ninyo. Thank you very much.